All right, we've got Jake here. Let's welcome him in here. Oh, the
Is my
man.
mic working fine?
Yep, your mic is perfect. The voice of an angel over there.
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm glad to have you on stream. I see you've been on a tear with content lately. No shocker in any way. And just wanted, I think for me, we I think we see a lot of care. Like we see different people in the industry that are doing different things, and you kind of just get to see maybe the persona or the thing that's going on out there. But I had the chance, especially once I set up time to talk to you, to go back, look at different interviews, different talking points, different podcasts you've done, and it really intrigued me to hear. I think a lot of people do want to hear more of people's stories, more of the kind of the heartbeat of why they do what they do, where they came from, and then how you get to the point. I think a lot of people know you as Soul Jakey, but you had been doing content a lot longer than the Soul Jakey persona came about. So I just thought it'd be really cool to open it up and get to know you, get to know how you went on this huge content arc, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, bro. It's good you do the research before the podcast, which is I think it's rare nowadays a little bit. But yeah, dude, I grew up skateboarding culture, Jackass, the Dudesons. These guys were like heroes to me, and so I remember my dad had me on ice skates when I was maybe 6 months old. Playing hockey growing up, and then in grade 7 or 8, I picked up my first skateboard. And I told my dad, I was like, I don't want to play hockey anymore. This is what I want to do every day. I want to skateboard. And with skateboarding comes like filming. You want to film your sponsor me tapes. You want to film all like the new trick, whatever.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what birthday it was. I was like 13 or 12. I asked for one of the handheld camcorders. It was like a Sony camcorder, a fisheye lens, just like a whole setup so that we could film our skate trips to downtown Toronto and all this. And from that point on, I had a camera on me at all times. We were filming everything. Security kicking us out, police kicking us out, doing crazy shit after skateboarding, jumping in lakes, all these like crazy shit, like, as kids. And it wasn't up until I think it was the summer of 2014, I was downtown, and I'll keep this brief, but this is kind of like the origin of why I started doing the type of content I do. I was downtown Toronto for Go Skateboarding Day. It's like 10 a.m. in the morning, and I'm skating this stair set, and I land it, and then, but there's like this curb, after the stair set, and I land it, and when I hit the curb, I like kind of fall, and I'm like, damn it, I got to redo it. I go back up the staircase, I go to redo it, snap my arm in half, just like completely, it's like dangling, it's completely in half, and it's like 10 a.m. in the morning. And so I go to like the hospital nearby, ambulance comes, I get like my arm, they do a bunch of shit to my arm, they put it in a cast. And I remember going home that day, and I was telling my friend at the time, and I was like, you have to edit that video. Like, that video is probably insane. And so he's editing that video right next to me. I'm sitting in bed, on painkillers, whatever. And then we post it. And then the next morning, I woke up, and it's like all my skateboarding videos had 20, 30, 40 views on YouTube. And majority of those views came from people from my local skate park, people around me. But this video of me breaking my arm had 1,500 views. And to me, obviously looking back, 1,500 views is not that much. But compared to my other videos, I was sitting there like, holy shit, I'm viral. Like 1,500 people saw my piece of content. And so I think something switched where I was like, oh, like if I just like do crazy shit, I'm not saying I have to break bones, but if I do like crazy stuff on the internet, I already kind of watch Jackass. That's what kind of people want to see. So I started mixing that in a little bit with the skateboarding content. And by the end, by grade 12, I'm hardly skateboarding. I'm only, doing a bunch of crazy stunts. Whatever I could like fulfill, whatever money I had in my bank account, I was putting in to whether it was fluorescent light bulbs, new BB guns, just like doing as much crazy shit as I possibly could. And I told my parents I wasn't going to college. I was going to pursue whatever this was, this amateur stuntman, Steve-O like career.
Yeah.
They didn't get it, but I did that for God knows how many years, 6 or 7 years out of high school. And I had a little bit of like local fame. I was getting on World Star. I did, I was signed to the, Full Send, the Nelk Boys for a little bit. And I kind of did my thing for, however that stretch was. And I worked a bunch of different part-time jobs to fund this. And at some point, I quit my full-time job because I was working full-time at this warehouse. And then I was also doing content, when I got home, and it was just like, it was crazy. But I saved up enough money to go out to LA. I drove from Toronto, Canada to LA. And then COVID hit, to keep it brief and short. So I had to come all the way back home. And somewhere along that time in there, I decided that I wanted to quit drinking. I wanted to quit partying and like really dial in on like, all right, I'm becoming an adult. I want to figure my shit out. I'm doing these like crazy stunts and stuff, but at some point it needs to start making me a little bit of money. Like I can't just be investing all my money into it. There needs to be a return. And at some point during that, I found crypto and like NFTs. NFTs were kind of my introduction. I thought they were cool. It was a different part of the
Yeah.
internet. I felt like I was in a place where I was reinventing myself a little bit, where I was like, I need new hobbies. I need to make a little bit of money. I need to figure some shit out. And when I found NFTs and Solana, it just kind of came together where I was like, oh, this is a really cool opportunity on the internet. No one here is making video content. Like no one's doing commercial work for brands. It's all like tweeting and like, very bottom barrel types of content, over on X. And I was like, well, that's an opportunity. I have experience making content, whether it's comedic or it's high production. I'm just going to start doing that in this crypto part of the internet, the Solana niche part of the internet. And I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be the mascot. I'm going to figure out and work my way in there. So to keep it short, that's kind of from, point A all the way to point B now. And it's been cool.
Yeah. I actually did not know the Nelk thing. And I think for a lot of people, the Nelk boys and that's kind of the big content world outside of crypto. And it gets spiraled a lot. I don't follow all of that, but just hearing that, it kind of lent to, oh, okay. Like even as I was going through the journey of getting to know a little bit more of your past and things like that, it was interesting because you do have to have a certain level. You have to have gotten to a certain level to even get kind of in that bubble of the Nelk boys and different bigger content streamer type engines saying, hey, let's link him. And I know I can let you go into if you want to talk too much of the story or not. I know it wasn't necessarily the best experience,
Yeah.
but I think that was to me a stamp of like, he was on some big radars far before Soul Jakey ever existed.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was already like, to be honest, this sounds, if I say it out loud, it's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, bro, like ego, whatever. But there was a point in time on Instagram where again, no one was doing the genre of content that I was doing. And at one point, WorldStar, this is when WorldStar was popping. They fell off a little bit, but at one point, WorldStar ran the internet. For people that don't know, WorldStar was reaching out to me and they're like, we want to license a bunch of your videos because like this shit's crazy and we're trying to pivot towards more like the influencer route. And we'd love to kind of use you as kind of a poster child for that. And I was like, yeah, every time you guys post me, I gain thousands of followers. What happened was I remember I started getting posted on WorldStar, but a great creator on the internet knows where to see opportunity and where to pivot, right? Those like that defines a great creator. Back then, not that I'm great now, but back then I had no experience. So when they're posting me on WorldStar on Instagram, I was so stuck in my way of using Instagram simply as a vehicle to my YouTube. I always wanted to be a YouTuber. And so I'm directing all these new people over on Instagram to YouTube. You know how hard it is to get people to go from platform to platform. Even in today's day and age, it's really difficult. Back then, it was even harder. And I'm constantly like, guys, I don't post anything here. Go to my YouTube. Where in reality, what I should have been doing is just posting all that content to Instagram, soaking up as much as possible, building up my following on Instagram, because it's such a better weapon, to inevitably move over to my YouTube. And I fumbled. I'm like so busy doing this that, all these other like accounts that are kind of copying me. I don't know if you're familiar, but there's this guy named Supreme Patty, Boonk. All these guys started popping up and they were opportunistic to a point where they ended up surpassing me. And they were like, they became the poster child for WorldStar. And I kind of missed that opportunity, but I kind of never gave up. I just kept moving, stick and move, just trying to figure it out. And inevitably Nelk, I'm from Toronto, Canada. They're from Mississauga, which is the city over. And I remember, dude, I was at a point where I was emailing Steve-O, the Nelk boys, the Dude Sins, all these guys. I would email them once a week. just pouring my heart out, just being like, I would love, because in my mind, I'm like, if I can just get with these guys, I'll make it. Like, I'll make it in this, like, I'll figure it out. These guys will co-sign me. I'd be emailing. And then eventually, I can't remember which video, one of them went viral, and Kyle from Nelk reached out and he's like, yo, we want to film with you. Like, this shit's crazy. Filmed a bunch of videos with them throughout the summer of 2017. And then sometime in 2018 is when I signed to them. It didn't really work out. I've told the story a few times, but it just, business wise, I wasn't even ready, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of things I did wrong, but I also felt like they wronged me on a communication side. And I was a little butthurt about that for a few years. Now that I'm older, I'm just like, that's just the way business works, especially when you're in Hollywood, when you're doing these things. It's cutthroat. Like, you could be friends with them, but the business and the money, that's always going to come first. And I didn't see that back then, because to me, I'm like, Kyle's my friend. We're cool. Where in reality, it's like, no, they feel you're not bringing enough to the table, that you're, whether you're getting paid or even just using their resources, if you're not bringing enough to the table, you got to go. And I think there's stuff that could have been done different. I think it honestly could have worked out. I think I was a fit at the time for the Full Send brand, but it didn't work out. Every blessing in disguise. We're here now. I'm on my own kind of journey. At that point, I would have been representing a company they built, where in reality, I want to be the star. I want to be the attention guy. Like, I want to pave my own path. So I think it is a blessing in disguise. It's the harder road, but sometimes that's what it takes. That's what it needs, not to be too philosophical, but.
Well, yeah, when looking at your journey and even what you're saying, the tell of somebody who tends to find success is exactly what you said. It's, hey, it just wasn't working, but I just kept going. I kept pivoting. I kept finding the angle. Most people don't have the effort to continually email and be super authentic with, like, this is where I'm at. I'd love some help. I'd love to get on a video with you. I can provide this value. And it's as you look further back and as you look to now, which is so much different stuff. It's this consistent effort level. I mean, for those of you who don't know, if you go onto Instagram, the account he's talking about is about 500,000 followers on it. I mean, his Instagram has absolute size to it, and that is a no joke feat. That is 500,000 people clicking to follow and watch and be interested in his thing. And for anybody who's tried to grow a following at all, even when you said that I had 20 people watching my video and then I had 1,500, there is that feeling. Like,
Yeah.
even when I was growing an account, just like the last 3 months of last year, there's that moment when you first start an account, especially when you're posting all these videos, and then you have the one that actually performs. You say, oh my, like, it doesn't matter that it's 1 million in your mind. If it's 10, 20x what you had, it's incredible.
That's it, dude. Baby steps, right? And you just got to be relentless. Like, for me, I was just, I was like obsessed. It was like, and I'm still to this day. Sometimes my like obsession, like different part, like even right now, I've been open that I'm a little bit jaded from the crypto area a bit. So I've been like trying other new shit, but I'm obsessed with the art of the final product. It's like you go and create the content, and like the content I'm creating, if you go back, it's like, it's me hurting myself. And it's like, people would ask me in my comments and they'd be like, are you what's that word, masochist or whatever, the person that likes pain? It's like, no. Yeah. They're like, do you have a higher pain tolerance? I'm like, probably not. I'm obsessed with the final product. I like attention. And when I do something crazy, pain's temporary, but that video is forever. That'll live on the internet. And that's like, these videos, we're in a time now, we're in 2026, your digital footprint is more important than your resume. And I seen that 10 years ago when everybody in high school was like, you're an idiot if you're not going to go to college. You're not even going to try to go to university. And I was like, no, because the influencers, the video creators, the YouTubers, they're making 10, 20, 30x what the lawyer's making. And in my mind, it wasn't really about money, but it was just like, I don't know, money and your digital footprint, what it's going to be like in 10 years from now, is probably going to be more important. And now I see, you go on Instagram, there's a niche for everything. Content has become a sport. It's like, there's like drafts, there's like it's a full organization now of, and the competition is just crazy. It's like you're not early to making video content. You can still do it. You can find your niche, but this is a very competitive sport now. Whereas back then, everybody thought I was nuts. They're like, what do you
Yeah.
do? And I'm like, this is what I do. You go, if someone comes and asks me now, what do you do? And I show them, they're like, oh, that's funny. You obviously make money, right? You get sponsorships. Back then, they're like, how do you make money from that? Like, who's gonna put their? It's just different now.
Yeah, and do you think that part of the draw for you too is that it's like no matter how much you create, the competition level is always chasing your tail, and there's always like you could be relevant 6 months ago and be irrelevant now if you're not. Oh, hold on.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, but like you could be irrelevant in now and be completely viral 6 months ago where you have to iterate, which again goes back to the personality traits you were talking about, which is being obsessed and loving this aspect of things. Do you think that draws you and keeps you in it too, the competitive aspect?
I think it's definitely helpful. I think like if you need any external motivation when you wake up in the morning, I think David Goggins said this one time, but it's like every minute that you stay in bed, there's someone else that's out working you. There's someone else that's in the gym. And so if you apply that to like, I don't even have to name names, but like no matter if it's crypto or if it's on Instagram where someone's kind of in the same niche, it's like I see them get 500,000 views and I'm like, I gotta fucking do that. Like, of course that like drives you. And I think I've always said it too. The best creators, like going viral, getting views, like that's I don't want to come off egotistical, but that's relatively easy. You can take your iPhone, film something on the street, film yourself, and it can go viral. Like the algorithms have changed. It's you can get it, you could buy yourself a viral video. What you can't buy is longevity. And so every great, like you look at the Jake Paul, the Logan Pauls, the whoever, even like someone like Kanye West, a little different, but these people have mastered the art of knowing when to kind of jump stone, knowing when to pivot. When's like, Jake Paul was a Disney star. And then he did the Vine thing with Logan. And then he became one of the biggest YouTubers. Now he's one of the most prized boxers in the world. He knows when, okay, that served its purpose. I gotta go here. And that's the hardest part because anybody can kind of buy themselves a viral video, be relevant for 6 months, and then fall off. We see it all the time. Look at Hawk Tuah Girl. All these people that just find, they get their luck, they find their way in, but they're not real creators, so they don't know how to go the distance. And that's the hardest part is like, can you go the distance? Can you be relevant for 7 years? They stay statistically, creators, musicians, your longest window is 7 years. If you can do 7 years, you did a really good job. Majority of them, 1, 2, 3 years. So that was a little off topic, but to
No,
answer your question, yes, competition does drive. It's
I think
external motivation.
I think it's really relevant though, because I do think when you run into, I'd say like it's the discipline over so much time that really separates people. Like that the person who can for 1 year do something is one thing. But the person who can do it for 5 years, 7 years, whatever, like the video that gets a hundred views to the video that gets 20,000 back to a video that gets 1,000. Those something was better here, something, and can constantly kind of it's an interesting thing because it's almost like feedback you're getting constantly. The
Yeah.
algorithm is constantly hitting you with feedback, and not everybody can handle feedback. And I think for someone like you and content people, without a lot of people identifying it as that, it's a constant dose of feedback and then having to like reflect and then improve to succeed. I just don't think a lot of people have what it takes to handle that consistently.
No, it takes yeah, it's like a muscle you have to flex, especially like feedback. I mean, like even in I think doing a lot of the stuff I've done in crypto because crypto is such a it's an industry that cannibalizes itself a lot. Like they want to push out you're more inclined you have more incentive to hate than to like give credit where it's due, especially in crypto. And so I think for me over the last 3 to 4 years, just creating here in this niche, that muscle, that like willpower of you got to ignore the noise, but then you also have to be able to take the criticism of this video sucked or you did this wrong or you shouldn't have said this has been flexed more than ever. And so now when I apply that same energy to stuff I'm doing over on Instagram, I'm definitely like a better creator because of it, because I've just dealt with the worst of the worst in, this industry of crypto, because you have so many just like incels and just people that just want to see you fail. Like they wake up hoping that that happens, that you like never show up again. So, but yeah, it does take you have to be strong suited. Like you can't be a little baby. You have to put on your game face and just like show up to the field regardless of what people say.
Yeah, going into that, yeah, I'd say, it's totally different for different people, but even at my account size, which isn't that big, like about 10,000, like as your account size grows, the like random haters that just show up or say just like super insulting things for no reason, I can't even imagine you 20x that into your account size, the kind of nutcase messages you probably get or comments you get. I mean, how aggressive is it at your account size, especially with your persona? How brutal can it get sometimes?
So here's the thing is that I kind of like it, so I'll lean into it. So if I see people, whether it's they want to call me gay or they like whatever it is, okay, they want to, I'll lean into it a little bit because I'm like, well, they're already saying that. I may as well play the joke. I'm the jester in the
Yeah.
arena. I'm the clown. I may as well lean into it. I think there are like times where, especially in crypto, it's like you never want to be called a scammer. People throw that word around a lot. And so I think in 2025, I think was the only time where I truly took a break just because of the noise a little bit, where it was a little overwhelming because it's like, I know who I am. And you never want to be like being called a scammer is like being, am I allowed to swear on this show?
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
called a
You can
scammer
say
in crypto
whatever.
is like being called a pedophile in real life. It's like the one thing you don't want your name attached to. So there are times where it's like, okay, I gotta figure something out here. But majority of the time, if people are just talking about how I look or they don't like my content or they're making fun of me, I'll lean into it because at the end of the day, my job as a creator, especially on the controversy side, is to pull as many views as possible. If people are
Yeah.
talking about you, it's like, you know, you're doing something right, whether it's for the good or the bad. The best thing about the internet is you're only as good as your last trick. So people hate you today, you could do something awesome tomorrow and then they love you and you take them on this roller coaster. And that's how you kind of get the diehard fans. You build a community and you just build presence around who you are. Like you want to be polarizing. So yeah, I definitely get like crazy DMs, a bunch of stuff in my replies. But a lot of the time it's like, well, if that's the narrative they're going to run with, if they're going to say this about me, I may as well be that person for that day and lean into it and give them soak as many clicks because it's here today, gone tomorrow. The internet moves on. There's stuff that happened a year ago that felt like that was now my identity and it felt like the world crashes on you a little bit. And then tomorrow comes or the next week comes and no one talks about that anymore. And now you got to figure out what your next trick is. So that's the name of the game.
Yeah, you are uniquely suited. I mean, I should have expected you're uniquely suited to take on that, especially with the type of content you've done for a long time. I don't know if anybody has seen. I actually didn't see it for a long time, but ended up seeing a little while back. But which is your content where you do the mime work where you take pain without making a reaction. I don't think a lot of people even know of that persona that you have unless they dig in a little bit more to your
Yeah.
stuff. A little bit of the house that you've kind of done some crossover stuff in your most recent content where I think would have introduced that.
Yeah. I've kind of kept it like not intentionally separate. I just think like you have to know your audiences a little bit. And so it's like in crypto, I've tried to do the thing where it's like, let me try because like I'm more than just this, but trying to sell them on that, it's kind of a waste of time. It's you kind of have to know each audience and what they like. So the mime stuff works on Instagram, But over in crypto, no one gives a shit about that. People want to make money. They want to hear you talk about the next coin. They want to hear you talk about this stock that's going up or what's happening in the financial world or politics. So it's like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Let me make content designed for that specifically so that I can be on top, so that people are talking about me. And so, yeah, I haven't intentionally separated them too. It's almost like I work two different jobs. You know, I'll show up and do my crypto stuff, and then at some point in the day, I'll put on some fucking makeup and I'll go in the front yard and I'll take a scooter to the shin, and then I'll take the makeup off and I'll come back to the computer. And you kind of just, yeah, it's like working two separate jobs, but I don't have to clock in at 9 and clock out at 5.
Yeah, I mean, content. I've got to imagine you've really gotten fine tuned in the being able to make it happen at a much quicker pace. How has that journey been on as a newer content person? And for a lot of people, I'd say there's probably a lot of people that look at someone like you who has been around and it does really good content, but they're in that early stage. Like, I just don't understand how I get this done in a day. It takes me so long to make content, makes me so long. How has that been for you? And how have you refined content to be able to be put out at a really good pace?
Yeah, it's like constant loop, like this loop. Like what worked last week is not going to work this week, and you just have to have finger on the pulse. I think even right now I'm in a spot where, I'm building up this other Instagram around retard maxing, and that's something that's like kind of, I wake up and that's all I think about is what video am I creating for that Instagram. I haven't created a mime video in over 3 weeks. That's the longest I've ever gone without actually putting on the makeup and filming a video for that specific Instagram in the last 2 years. So I'm like kind of figuring it out as I go too. But I think I hate using the word routine, because I think routine is like, it kind of makes you feel like you have to stick to it. It's like, if I don't stay in this routine, everything kind of falls apart. I think you have to be very bendable. You have to be able to pivot. But I do think having some level of, strategy of, all right, this time of the day, I have to focus on this, whether it's like answering DMs, like I have to dedicate this. And then for the mime, it's like, okay, 2 hours out of the day, one time per week, I'm going to batch film 6 of them. So those 2 hours of filming the mime is going to be hell for me. I'm going to be taking a scooter to the shin. I'm going to be getting shot with like a Nerf tack. Like, I'm going to be hurting myself for those 2 hours. But at the very least, now I have a week worth of footage. So I just batch film it. Rather than putting on the makeup every day and filming one video, why not just put on my big boy pants and get it all done within 2 hours for one time a week? And I had to learn that, because before it was like I'd film one video, then we put it on the next day. It's like, it takes too much time. It's like, if I just dedicate this time and just dial in, we have videos for the week. So you find little loopholes a little bit. You find like things that work. And once you flex that muscle, like even for you with this show, it's like, you're going to get into a spot where you know how you like your clips done. Like, you start doing clips, you start posting them, you kind of have a strategy of how you go about them. You've seen what works, what doesn't. And then inevitably you get to a point where you're delegating that. You have a sponsor for the show, the arena. Now you can start dedicating a little bit of that money and invest it into someone that just does your clips for you. And, you just kind of keep, and it takes a while. Like, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but you find those like little loops where it's like, okay, that works. I would love to continuously do that. It's like, even for me right now on Instagram, we rent out a podcast studio. I go in there and I'm not talking to anybody. I don't know if you've seen, but there's like these podcast clips of me talking about.
I was wondering if that was off of a podcast, because it looks like you're on one.
So, exactly. So that's the beauty, is like, we make it look like I'm on a podcast. I'm basically in there actually talking to myself, but I'm dropping these like quotes and like these things that I write out the night before. And I go in there for an hour and I get 15 videos out of it, 20 videos of like these clips. And now we do that once a week. So now I'm guaranteed, because I know that that style of content works. I've tested it on Instagram. They pull views. Once a week, we will rent a podcast studio. I'll go in there, film 20 videos. And now I have 20 videos for that week that I can just post on trial reels, simultaneously post. It's just, you got to find those like ones that, like, okay, that works. How do I simplify it so that it doesn't take a bunch of my time, but I'm soaking in as many views as possible? And I feel like I'm probably preaching to the choir, and it's definitely easier said than done. But, you just have to get to that point. You just have to repetition. You're going to have days where you feel like you did nothing.
That those clips look great. I mean, they do look great. I saw them. I thought, man, where's this podcast at? Like you instantly find your, because it looks professional, looks really well done. It looks like you're on a real high end podcast, and they
Yeah.
are. I mean, it's better than a podcast because it's harder to get that clip live in a podcast. You have to
100%.
basically be somebody who can hit live time amazing clips with just the way they speak, which is way hard. If you've ever clipped up something or done a stream, it's way harder to get like a professional style statement than you'd think it is for anybody watching.
Yeah, because it's all about your delivery. And like even on this podcast, we go back and look at clips. I probably could have said something much shorter. I tend to drag things out sometimes. I talk a lot. When I'm on the podcast, I know that, okay, this is going to be max 30 seconds. So my delivery has to be 30 seconds worth. I can't drag this out where there's a bunch of cuts, because then you kind of lose the bravado a little bit. You lose the energy to it. And so just rent out a podcast studio, simplify it, go in there with notes. I got a notebook that I write all the things I want to say down. And then, within an hour, you've got exactly how you want it. But you're right, doing it live, it's a lot tougher. It can be done with repetition, but
yeah. Well, there's especially if you go back and watch a live stream, you'll catch these little things that you do, and that's like, at least for me, it'll just piss me off. It's like, I said I think too much. Like, why do I keep saying I think before something? And then all of a sudden you're picking yourself apart. Which is good. I mean, in hindsight, it's very good, especially early on in streaming, because you're able to digest the things you're not doing the way you want them to look. And so you can implement changes and clean up your speech a little bit. By watching your own edits, you can slowly tailor yourself a little bit more, because a lot of people do have ways they speak that don't sound that great, little verbal fillers, whatever that is. And editing yourself is a really easy way to start correcting those.
That's it, dude. And even you're going to find, like for me, it's like, I remember I got so many comments on the specific shirt I was wearing, the polo shirt. So then you have to look at those comments, and you have to be like, okay, if that drove 10 comments, I should buy 10 more of same style shirt. And that should be my like style, because chances are if 10 people commented on the polo shirt I was wearing this time, there's going to be at least another 10 or maybe 20 or whatever. And you find like these little things, even for you, is like, eventually you're going to upgrade your mic, or like whatever, right? You're going to get a different background, but it happens slowly. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen slowly. And you got to look out for those comments. What are people talking about? That it's like reading between the lines a little bit. It's not always about the actual content. It's like, did you say something a certain way that was kind of funny? Like people pointed out, definitely do that again, because there's gonna be 10,000 other people that are gonna find it funny. So you just do it again. You find those like small little things.
That's super interesting, because I did notice your polo. Like, it's kind of I don't know, not many people are rugby players, but it's almost the rugby polo type realm. Like, and every time I was a rugby player, I guess I still am, but I'm on my later stage. But the rugby polo is, whenever I wear a rugby polo, people are like, oh, that looks great. Like, what is that? But they don't exist very much. Like, you can't really find them. And I saw your shirt, and it gave me that rugby polo vibe. And I thought, where did he get that from? Like those. So it did. That thing hit my mind, is those shirts are unique that he's wearing.
Exactly. And you find like those little things. So it's like, I went on Amazon and I found the exact same ones, just different style. And I bought 10 of them. So now I'm like, anytime I do a podcast, I wear one of those. Or anytime I do one of the sit down talking videos, I wear one of those. And you build it into your brain a little bit. Sometimes I'll put the grills in, the gold grills, because people would comment on that. And you just find those little things,
Well, and I think what's so helpful about a lot of what you're saying today, it's really fun to hear your story, but you're giving a lot. I know to you, it probably seems like, whatever, like these are easy things, or it's because it's second nature to you now. But for somebody, which a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people, they're seeing this content world evolve around them and become dominant. I mean, streamers are the thing now, the ultimate marketing engine. They get paid the biggest of big bucks to be in movies, to be in wrestling, being whatever, because it's millions of people to watch the second they show up. And you're giving a lot of, just even though they seem simple to you, they're probably second nature at this point. But the thought that most of us would not think that maybe catching that they're talking about a certain item, your shirt in a video, that's actually a tell of like, okay, that's engagement and there's intrigue around this. So that's potential to add into my branding of these videos. These little subtle, I mean, it really is the art that you've gotten to with your creating, where you can pick up on these little things and you can test these subtle things that, like you said with me, like we've been running this stream. And when I first started this thing, I was my computer camera. It was just total shit. Like
Yeah.
it was just, I didn't realize I had never streamed before. I didn't realize I needed a light in front of me to like help with the camera. I didn't realize a mic. It was total garbage, and I'm still upgrading it. But the things you're talking about, it's kind of that same form, way deep down the content realm. Is I hadn't really even thought of those subtleties, and they're actually super sharp catches. And I think it's super helpful because I think there's so many people that probably think, man, if I could get on a call with Jake, or if I could just listen to him and understand how he builds out content, it would be so valuable to me, because your knowledge in the space, I think you undersell how strong it is, because
I
it's almost
appreciate that.
second nature in a lot of points. Like I think to me, and anybody who's, for me, I was, before I had my daughter in January, I was on this run of like, I'm going to produce a video every single day. And I did 100 videos in like 3 months, because I want to show that like I can do this, and I can challenge myself in this. And I'm trying to make my way back, but maybe it's just because I recently did that. The difficulty in, I know everybody says this, but you make this video that you're like, oh, that's such a good video. Like that's an home run, 100%. Doesn't do anything. Then
Yeah.
some just like lame video. One day I got pissed off because I might have placed some money on a Chargers game in the playoffs, and I'm walking home in the dark, just lighting the Chargers up. Just absolutely like, this is the shittiest team I've ever seen play football, and just gets hundreds of thousands of views. Just some random video I'm pissed off, and where every video I cared about get nothing. This random rant is the one that blows up with zero edits, nothing. It's just me pissed off, clicking send and moving on with my life, waking up. I guess everybody hated that.
That's story of a creator's life. I've dealt with that forever. I've come to find out, especially in today's day and age, and because everybody with like an iPhone or a smartphone and access to Wi-Fi can essentially be a content creator. You don't need the expensive camera anymore. You don't need all the craziest equipment. You can literally just make a career off of putting this phone and setting it down in front of you and talking to it. Bro, I've spent a bunch of money on crazy, videos and put myself through hell, whether it was like this crazy stunt, doesn't get anything. And then it's like, I do something very small where it's like, sometimes, there's ones where people were like filming on Snapchat back in the day, and it's like terrible quality. And I'm doing something like, I'm not even telling anybody to film it, but I'm just doing something like retarded. And then I post it and it does 1 million views. And I guess like the main thing I would say to that is like, at this point in time, everything's content. Like exactly what you just said, if you're going to get pissed off at a football game, you may as well record yourself doing it. It seems dystopian. People can say, well, live in the moment. It's like, nah, this is the moment. Like you have your camera, and not everybody has the luxury to have a full-time camera person that's always recording them. But if you're pissed off, if, something funny's happening, I don't know, film it, because at this point, luck is somewhat involved, and you screaming at your phone over a football game is like, it was probably funny, but it's like luck of the draw that you were like, fuck it, I'm just going to pull on my phone. Who cares? It probably won't ever see the light of day, but then you end up posting it because you're like, oh, maybe I said this funny, and people will resonate with it. And so trust me, I know that better than most people is putting a bunch of effort into a video and it doesn't do shit. And then you put 2 minutes into a video and it pops. That's just the nature of the game. It's the most frustrating thing in the fucking world, but it's just how it goes. And now, though, it's like, if that worked, you should probably do that again. You should probably have, and find different variations of you getting pissed off at football, because if they found it
Yeah.
funny once, they'll probably find it funny again. And, you might accidentally build a whole separate lane of content just off that, where it's just football commentary, where you're just screaming, whether you lost money or not, but you play that part. You're the guy that always loses money now, and you're always screaming on your phone. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's whenever I just light something up on my social, that's the video that ends up getting some spice to it. But I'm like, oh, I gotta tone back because I'm not trying to be somebody who's just absolutely ripping into everything on my social, because I also have it branded with the show or some other content. So I do get caught in that battle. I think a lot of people do, which is like, let's look at your brand. I've got one here, I've got one here, I'm doing retard maxing here, I'm doing here. It's kind of, you almost have to be in that realm, because if I'm gonna do this where I just rip things, then I almost like, oh, I gotta create a profile that just rips things, because people are gonna want to show up to see me do this.
Yeah.
And not right now, I'm so blended, but it is kind of frustrating in that way, because that's me. I could get pissed about this thing, or I could be talking education, I could be doing this, but people do kind of want to see. It seems like, I mean, I'd love your opinion on this. It seems like they kind of want a theme. Like, I'm coming to your profile and like, this is you.
Yeah. So I actually have a great like testimony to this. On my Instagram that you were mentioning that has like 500,000 followers, I was doing a bunch of different stuff. I would mix the mime stuff in with like some funny skit that I did. And I wasn't really gaining followers. I was pretty stagnant. And I was talking with Steve, and Steve's like, okay, it's pretty simple here, bro. It's like the mime thing. You go and look at the mime and their views, millions, right? You gain a shit ton of followers. And then you post this other thing and no one really gives a shit. And in reality, what you're doing here is you're you're reeling people in. You got the fish on the hook, and then you're kind of letting it go. They come, maybe they hit the follow, maybe they're kind of interested, but then you post something that's not related to the mime, which is why people are following you, and you're kind of just reeling them back out. They're like, oh, I thought this guy was a mime. He's like, don't ditch all that. I know that's what you want to do, and maybe you're not super dead set on being a mime, but it's what works right now. And so would you rather be stuck stagnant here doing what you want, or do something that you don't necessarily love, or maybe it's not fully you, but it works, and be able have the opportunity to pivot with 500,000 followers instead of trying to make 100,000 followers work? Why not get the 500? Why not get the million followers? And then you have this foundation where you can decide to pivot. And so I remember him telling me that, and it just kind of re-switched in my mind, where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to do the mime on this page because that's what people are following me for. That's what they came here to see. They didn't come here to see this, that, the third. They want to see the mime. So I think this happened back in, like, where I went full time of just the mime on that Instagram page was probably back in May of 2025. So just about a year now. And I've gained 400, maybe like 350,000 followers in that year just doing the mime. Whereas if I try to do a mix of everything, I'd probably be stuck at the same point. So
you grew that in did you say this last year is when you?
yeah, 300,
I
I
had no
think.
idea. I
Yeah.
thought that
So
was like a 6-year-old account that it was always huge. I didn't realize you absolutely full sent it in this last year on that.
So I have had that account since, 2017. And I think in 2019 is when I hit 100,000 on there. But or maybe like 2020, somewhere around there, I hit 100,000 followers on it. But it was slow, very super slow growth. I was trying to figure it out. But over the last year, just dedicating that page strictly to the mime content, because that's what worked the best. I found something that was original. It doesn't happen anywhere like that. That's originally my idea. I struck gold with it, and I went head over heels for it. And I gained, around 350 to like 400,000 followers in a year on that account, because I found something that worked, and I just doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on it. And you're right. Like, that would be my like best testimony to you. You don't want to mix it. When you're first finding out what you're trying to do, it's okay to just try a bunch of different things, throw stuff at the wall and see what works. But when you find something, for example, where you're screaming at your phone and that worked, it's like, do it again. If it worked, even if you pull 50 60% of the views that you did on the first one, even lower, but it still, outdoes maybe the podcast clips or something. It's probably like a decent idea to, okay, I'm going to dedicate this page or this like specific area, whether it's a Twitter page, an Instagram, a TikTok, and I'm just going to do that. I'm going to see what I can do. Maybe it's not what you want to do. Maybe the podcast is like your real passion, but you'd much rather have a vehicle that now has 100,000 followers from you screaming at your camera and being able to maybe start to move people over or be able to pivot. You'll lose followers. Maybe you'll lose, a portion, but you have a foundation. Back in May, I didn't really have a foundation. It was like, cool, I've racked up 100,000 followers. Do they give a shit about me? Not really. Are they going to come back? No, they're not incentivized. They would never buy any merch from me. But now with the Mime, it's more of a foundation where, people come back to my page to watch that specific character. So let's feed them. Let's put the plate on the table and put the food down. And yeah.
That's really interesting perspective. It definitely, there's a part of me that's got me a little motivated. Like maybe I do a Brandon Hot Takes page and just let it loose, since those videos, I don't know what it is, but those tend to drastically outperform. I just don't shoot them that often anymore. But maybe once or twice a month, something hits my radar that really gets me riled up, and then I just jump the camera on. But yeah, they do. I don't know if it's just because society likes a little bit more fired up video than they do a normal video.
Of course, everybody wants to see someone rage. And then the second thing is, well, there's a lot of passion in sports. So how you felt about, again, I'm not super familiar with football and whatever, but how you felt about that specific game, I guarantee you there's hundreds of thousands that felt the same way. So basically, instead of them going and doing what you did, they got satisfaction over watching you rage, because they're like, yep, that's how I feel. And so with sports, it's like sports become such, like, Steve's little brother. I don't know if you're familiar with Steve, but he's like my manager. He lives here in Hollywood with me. But his little brother is one of the biggest sports betting creators in the world. His name's Gavin McHugh. And that's what he does, right? Like, he just does commentary on like his picks, and like he'll rage at certain games and stuff like that. And there's such a passion in sports. I come from Toronto. If you've ever met a Toronto Maple Leafs fan from, the NHL, they're the most toxic pieces of shit ever, because they just bleed blue. And yeah, bro, people want to see that. And like gambling and like betting, like, regardless of what your opinion or your morality on it, you can't ignore it. It's all over the internet. It's all about, am I making money from this? Can I bet on this team? Can I bet on this person to make this pass? Tie those three things together: you raging and expressing your feelings, sports and having a passion for this specific team, and money on the line, and being a degenerate. I mean, that's a recipe right there. People want to see that. So
yeah, you're definitely bringing some perspective on this. So one thing I wanted to dive into, because I know it's been your current arc right now, and I do think on top of that, sometimes people don't quite fully understand some of these maxing, and some of the maxing I'm less interested than others.
yeah.
But if you've taken the time to kind of understand retard maxing and the simplicity of it and the beauty of it, I think you're doing a good job of actually trying to frame it up. I've seen some clips where you're giving a little bit more info. I'd love you to take some time and give us a little bit more of your perspective on it, because I do think it is a beautiful mindset, even if it seems maybe aggressive in the wording.
Yeah. So I think the wording throws people off, because I think when you think of maxing, you think of looks maxing. And I think a lot of that shit is pretty silly. Like,
Yeah.
But it works for him. Like, I get it from a creator's perspective. It's like, you may as well lean into it. I don't know who Clav is as a person. We only see what's on camera, him overdosing, all these crazy things. I don't know what he's like behind the camera. Everybody plays a character, and he's very smart about how he's gone about looks maxing. He's leaned fully into it, whether it's the meth, all these like different crazy things to get clicks. He's done a really good job. Retard maxing is like, you have the word retard, which is, there's a lot of people out there that get offended, or, they find it derogatory. I live in a world where my dad would say everything under the sun, and he grew up being like, don't be a pussy, And so I was always just like, words are, you can only take offense to a word if you give it meaning. Like if you put validity behind it, you give it emotion. Whereas if you just, and for me, it's a compliment. If someone says that I'm being retarded, it probably means I'm doing something cool. And so you tie the retard with the maxing to kind of fit the Gen Z. They know what maxing is. I'm life maxing. I'm health maxing. And so people think it's satire. But I think the philosophy, and I call it a lifestyle rather than a mindset, because I feel like a mindset can be manipulated really like quickly, whereas a lifestyle, it takes real change in order to change your lifestyle. Like it takes repetition. And so I call it a lifestyle simply, the art of like not thinking and kind of throwing logic out. It's like, of course, you're gonna have thoughts throughout the day. I'm not oblivious to the fact that you can't completely turn off your brain. That's a little dangerous. But if you can tone it back as much as possible, and you can get in the ideation of just doing instead, because there's so many people that have all these things. There's people around me. They're like, oh, I want to do this, and I'm like, why don't you do it? And then their first thing is, oh, I didn't have the money. It's like, how many years are you going to do that for? You're going to be 40 and you're just going to continue to do this thing where it's like, it's not the right time. I've got kids, I've got this. And it's like, you're going to end up being 80 and you're going to have you're going to have a list of things that you wish you'd done. And you don't think this way because, oh, I'm 30 years old. I'm 20 years old. That's so long from now, but life goes quick. I'm 27 now. It moves pretty quick. And I think for me, something that scares me the most, you can ask anybody around me, and something I care about the most is like legacy. And something that scares me the most is like regret and like not doing things that I've always wanted to do. And there's a lot of things I want to do at a young age because it fits, my storyline and what I want to build for myself. And I think the key to being able to do these things and just is adopting the lifestyle of retard maxing and not thinking. Like, throw out the excuse. Like, stop trying to be logical. Stop trying to predict how it's going to happen. Just go and live it and learn through it. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Some people don't have it in them. Sometimes you're going to get hurt. You're going to piss off people. You're going to say something that's, someone's not going to like, but who really gives a shit? Because it's like, okay, now you know not to do that. Or maybe you really like that and you would have never known. You learned something today that you didn't know yesterday. And I think that's the most important thing. And so even small things, like I did a bit the other day where I was like, learn something new today. And a lot of people are like, oh, I got to go learn how to, I don't know, write whether it's like, I got to go learn how to code on Claude. It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, you as a person that's like watching my piece of content right now, do you know how to juggle? If the answer is no, you can pick up 3 things on your fucking desk and learn how to do it. And it might seem pointless, but it's something today that you didn't know yesterday. And it's a pretty cool trick. And you don't need to go spend, you can just learn something. And you start small. Do you know how to solve a Rubik's Cube? No, it costs $5. Go buy one, learn how to do it. Now you know how to do that. Next thing you know, you do that for a whole year. You've got 300, 200 different new skills that you didn't know before. And so that's kind of my pitch is, stop trying to perfect an outcome. Stop trying to think of the what ifs, the what could go wrongs. Like, go and do it. Like, figure it out. Try it out. Learn from the experience. There's nothing better than learning hands-on. And I think like a lot of people in school, even myself, I was a hands-on learner. I had to be there trying it. If you told me it's in one ear and out the other. But if you throw me in the mix and I fall down, I'm like, okay, when I'm on a bicycle, I know not to take that right turn too hard now. But if you would have told me that, and I would try to picture it in my brain and try to envision it, I wouldn't have known how to do that for the next time. I would have still fell down. But at least now I got it over with, and now I can take that corner and I know how to do it. Long speech, but that kind of sums it up of like, just retard max everything. Do everything with a purpose. Try it.
Yeah, and people, we've got about 140 people on the arena, all just real pumped up in the chat, talking about that they love the conversation. They feel like this is actually super valuable, and I agree. I spent a while. Somebody put a pretty large retard maxing article out a while ago, and it was during that whole article, just like mania. I think it was, yeah, and that was really well put together. Like, as ridiculous as it was, if you can if you can cut out all the random BS that flows in your head and the overthinking and everything, the simple message, which I think the people who don't get it tend to be the same people that just struggle with a lot of things because they overthink, they get blocked up in their own stuff. It's most people should understand the concept, and the people that don't should dig harder to understand it, because really, like you've talked about with content, like anybody who's been successful, it's the people that do, instead of like really try and plan and think every aspect of things out, that learn and iterate so much quicker. If you just spent a month planning your video to create the perfect video rather than creating 3 videos a day for a month,
Yep.
it's going to be a drastically different outcome with the experience of creating, rather than just, you can't plan perfection. And it was proven even when we've talked about these videos that don't go well. It's
Yep.
you plan, you think you got the best video ever, and it does shit, and you waste all this time doing it. In 2 minutes, you shot another video and it's 1 million views. So I think that that's the sweet spot you're talking about. Is it matters so much more to take action and to be willing to fail and adjust
Yep.
than it does to sit around and plan all day long.
That's it. You just gave me I just wrote down because I think that's like one of the next topics, but you put it perfectly. And I didn't even tie two and two together, but it's like, yeah, you could plan the best video for a whole month. And then what happens when it doesn't hit the right algorithm? It flops. But if you went and did it 3 times, whether, whatever, you went and filmed it a bunch of different times, and maybe didn't have all the production that you wanted, you're going to learn what to say different. Like you're going to get to a final product where it was like, damn, that is what I wanted, a lot quicker. And it's like, I make the analogy of, you're on page 1, and because you're trying to think, you're trying to coordinate it. You have this strategy. The retard's already lapped you. He's already done chapter 1. He's already done chapter 2, because he just went out and tried it. He learned what he did wrong. He failed, aka he fell down. He got back up. He knew what to do better next time. And now he's on chapter 2 because he just went and tried it, And I think if majority, you don't, and listen to the people watching, you don't have to call it retard maxing. I don't care. I'm not selling you a course. I'm not like, there's no monetization aspect in it for me other than views and clicks, obviously on my Instagram. I'm not going to ignore that, but I don't got a course. I'm not trying to get you to buy anything. If you don't want to call it that. We back?
Yep. No, you're good. Just flat flickered off.
No worries. But yeah, you don't have to call it that, but at the very least, adopt the lifestyle of it. Go and just do shit. And yeah, shout out to Elijah Long. He's the one that came out with that article. I wasn't super familiar with him when I first started talking about retard maxing, and you called it an arc. That's a perfectly put. When I started the arc, I wasn't actually familiar with him. And then someone told me about him, and I went back to his YouTube channel, and he's been talking about retard maxing for a year and a half. So people thought it was like I incepted it, like I birthed it, when in reality, he was the one that created it. So I always give credit where it's due. But what I found very interesting is a lot of stuff that he was saying, I was almost saying verbatim without ever seeing any of his content. And now I've watched back all of his stuff, and he's like the godfather of it. He sits in his backyard with a cigar and just goes on 30-minute rants about this. He's the GOAT. He's one of my goats.
Yeah, if you really look at anything in life, as simple as it is, you could even look at something as simple as the gym. Like, okay, there's one person who sits around reading nutrition articles and the best ways to perform lifting weights, the best routine you could hit in a 45-minute workout, hour and a half workout. Then there's the other person who just walks in the gym and starts lifting things, and they don't spend all this time figuring out. You can apply it to any aspect of life. And the person who does stuff and begins by doing stuff and then researching and adjusting when they get experience and have run into hurdles. If I run into the hurdle and then I'm applying, I got to look into this because this is stopping me, right? I'm at a plateau here. I then know what the plateau is and I'm specifically looking for it. If I start out and I just try and research everything possible that, oh, these are where plateaus could be, or it might not apply to anything I do. But if I go in and I start doing stuff like you're making these videos, you're going to have a specific issue that comes up. And because you're doing it, you're attacking that specific issue and you're moving on. If you spent all day, oh, people tend to have issues with audio or this video, you could check all these issues you never run into because you got to become a master. Then you're years behind, you're slower, everything is bad. And I don't know. It's so easy to apply to everything.
Yeah, and you're never going to perfect it. There are always ways to like innovate it. And it's like if we were to apply it to even with you, it's like when you were starting the podcast or the stream, it's like you could have spent all the time in the world getting all the best equipment. But there's the retard that did it from his iPhone, just talking, setting up his iPhone, and he's done 10 episodes. And so now he knows what kind of works and what doesn't, certain things he should say, so that when he goes and gets all the best equipment, he knows how to use the equipment properly. Whereas with whoever just started, got all the best equipment, planned everything out, they have no fucking idea how to use it because they did all this extensive research stuff that you find on the internet. You go and ask ChatGPT, you're not going to find what works. You're going to find very general things, but you're not going to know what works for you. So you're sitting there with the best equipment and you're being lapped by the guy that just bought the best equipment, but he's got 10 reps in. He's already 10 episodes in. He knows the topics that work. He knows how to resonate with the people that, whether it's 3 people, 30 people, whatever, he knows what resonates with them because he just went and tried it. He just was doing it. And now he's at a point where I'm going to upgrade. And you look 3 months down the line, the retard he's got a show on Netflix. The guy that tried to coordinate, he's still figuring it out. He's planning his second episode at that point.
Absolutely. It's really refreshing to hear because it also is the type of mindset you want people around you to have. And again, even though we use the words retard max, it's not like we're actually saying people are complete idiots or whatever. It's take away the filters, take away the noise, and take a shot at things, and then take the time to adjust or learn when you're in it. Because once you're in it, you know what those things are. I didn't know that I needed a front camera or a front light or that there's even multiple light angles. But it didn't stop, like the fact that the lighting wasn't perfect didn't stop the stream from being effective or good. It just was like, it can be better. And there was a million things I learned in those streams while the lighting, while I was slowly making the adjustments, because part of it too is how many thousands you want to spend before you even, have your groove or anything, because I could spend $10,000 on my setup here. And then it just doesn't make any difference. It's not that much better.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it. It's funny too, because it's like we're sitting here talking, and because I just came on here, had a conversation, it's like right after this, I could have sat outside trying to, plan what I want to say, because I do these like sit down videos, but because I came on here, just did it, I've got like 2 ideas. That's why if you see me over here, I'm like writing down ideas just from our conversation of like things that I want to say on my next video. Just doing shit.
Well, I think having these conversations is so good. And I hope I'm seeing a lot of positive comments in the chat around it. People talking about perfectionist behaviors being kind of the enemy of progress. It totally is that. And I know you have a lot of fun with it. The way, he goes, in his videos, sometimes they're to the extreme of, he's going to roll. I saw you rollerblading down that hill the other day and you took the brakes off of your rollerblades and you said, oh, I thought it'd make me go faster. And then I was like crashing in the tree, which is super entertaining, but he's trying to prove a point, which is no matter what it is in life, take a shot. He's not ideally throwing his life on line. There's a very low probability some catastrophic thing's going to happen from him being on rollerblades.
Yeah. It's what it is. It's like the message is simple, but in order for it to dig deep on somebody, I really need to prove it. And so how do I prove that you should just go out and do things? I'm not saying you should go take your brakes off your rollerblades and whip down a hill like me. I'm just proving that listen, I want to live this messaging. I want to preach or I want to practice what I preach so much that I'm going to do these things in order to be like, listen, you don't know how to rollerblade? Don't take off the brakes. Don't go down the hill, but go put the fucking rollerblades on and learn it. I'll take off the brakes and I'll go and try shit, but keep it simple for you. Just go and learn how to skateboard. You don't got to go off the ramp like me, but go and learn how to ride the board because now you know something you didn't know yesterday. And I think there's nothing better in life than just that flow state, being in bliss of just you. There's no better feeling than picking up something and like you do it for the first time, and by the thousandth like try, the 900th attempt, you now know how to do it. That's like the best feeling in the world. It's like you could do whatever, and it builds confidence. You know, you don't gotta. You're not ugly. You're just not doing shit. You're not trying. You're not. You don't. You lack confidence because you're not. You're not throwing yourself into the mix. You're not trying all these different things. You sit on your ass and you sit there and you tell yourself you're ugly. You lack this confidence because you're not doing shit. You're not trying new things. You're not spiking your cortisol, as Clav would say. You know, you got to spike it, bro. You gotta feel the danger. You have to feel alive. Your daily life gets really boring if you're doing the same thing every day. You gotta try new things and just be hands on. Get hurt, get in trouble a little bit. You know, don't go to jail. Don't break your bone, but you know, get a little scrape every now and then. You know, I don't know.
I think I heard this quote. I forget the actor's name. It was the guy who played Elvis in the newer thing, and he was out doing one of those Subway interviews, and he said some quote he heard at one point, or somebody told him this at one point. He said, "Embarrassment is a very underexplored emotion."
Yep.
And
I know the next video you're talking about.
Yeah, it rings to me. It rang really true because I have definitely had times in life, especially depending what age you are. At some ages, you have it a little bit more than at others, but it is really true because really embarrassment is somewhat of a internal dialogue you're having. And most people really don't give a shit what you're doing. Like they don't, you're going to dance in the middle of a room with people. I don't want to do it. I don't dance, you know, whatever it is. It is what you're saying, even in these moments, is it does make you reflect a little bit more on what you know, what's really stopping me from doing these different things, or why, you know, maybe if you're single, what stops me from starting a conversation with somebody I'm attracted to, or what. There's so many places in life you could apply retard maxing, exploring the embarrassment emotion, pushing yourself in these ways, because I think so many people don't even bother to think of the other side of the coin. Like, what if it goes well? You know, everybody gets stuck in the embarrassment and things go wrong, or what if they reject me or whatever. Yeah, well, what if they don't? Like, or what if they do? What does that actually do? Like, what does that do to you? Nothing. Like, you didn't know them before the moment you walked up to them. So, like, if you don't know them afterwards,
yeah, that's it, bro. Shoot your shot. Like, that's when someone I think it was. I seen a clip of that guy Togi. I'm sure someone else said it before, but
I'm a big fan of his some of his content.
Yeah, bro. And it was like, you know, what if it doesn't go right? What if it doesn't go wrong? It's like, what if it does? You know, like what's the fucking difference between if it does and it doesn't? It doesn't. Guess what, bro? Go put up another shot. You'll learn a lesson. Figure it out. You'll be okay. If it does, maybe you met the love of your life. Maybe you guys have whatever. You have a great time. You guys have great sex. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you never know. It's like what could go wrong is very minimal to what could go right. You know, I say about like the juggling thing or like these random little things, skills that you could learn. You ask yourself, well, what's the point? It's like, well, what's the point of like not trying? It's like you learn, it's like a new thing that you didn't fucking know. It's your life changed. Okay, sure, you're not rich and you're in a fancy house because you learned how to juggle, but your life has technically changed because you learned a new skill. That's something brand new about you. That's a new piece to your lore. And it's the same thing with shooting shots. Like you can apply it to anything. Yeah, it's like, you know, the worst case in every single thing when it's really it's like you learn a lesson. You broke your arm, okay? Well, you learn a lesson. You know, don't do that again. You don't want to break your arm. You didn't. Well, you probably got a cool piece of content, or you learn. I don't know. That's just how I think about it. It's like the worst case is you learn from the experience, and like everybody should want to learn every day. So
Yeah, you really can't improve on anything. And I think for a lot of people, it is the approaching somebody that you're attracted to. I think I'd say most people have more struggles with that and probably hold themselves back. I would say even more so. I'm a 37, so my generation's a little bit further away from just being pure tech oriented, but still, I mean, it's still there. But as you go younger, I'm sure it's getting worse and worse around approaching people in person and things like that. And it really does come down to a lot of this overthinking everything. And
yeah,
like these things that as you get older you realize don't really matter. There isn't really a, as long as you're not doing something to intentionally harm somebody or
yeah,
something like crazy, there's really no, there's not a net negative to going up and saying hi to somebody, shaking a hand, whether introducing it to a guy, girl, whatever, a friend, somebody you want to meet, somebody you've seen out in public. I think that's where a lot of people do get stuck, and maybe the easiest. The only reason I'm bringing that up is because it's the, I think most applicable to people
yeah,
in any sense is that most people struggle with a hey, I'm Brandon, like what I find you attractive, blah blah blah, and that's really, it's a similar motion in a lot of these different realms, whether it's business, whether it's whatever. It's, can you go out? Can you take a shot? If you want to be on stream or you want to be on, make content, if you want to, you name it, get better at sports, whatever. I feel like it's just about constantly taking shots. Like you said,
yeah,
you got to constantly step up to the plate. You got to constantly put yourself out of your comfort zone. And that's
yeah,
what you're bringing up all the time. You can't, it's that old statement. If you want to live the life, if you want to kind of achieve more than other people achieve, you can't live the life that they live. That whole statement where it's,
yep. I
if you
love
want
that.
to be the best, you can't act like other people act that don't live the life you want to live. You
Yeah,
have to be better than them and you have to do more. And I don't mean that in some harsh way, but that's the reality. If you want to achieve at a higher level, if you want to be better, if you want to be more incredible, then you have to, like you said even earlier, you have to get up in the morning and go do something that they're not doing. You have to
yeah,
try something, build something. Everything has to be, if you're referencing somebody that you want to achieve as much of or more than, then you have to be doing as much or more than them on a daily basis to achieve that. And it's, I think too many people lose sight of that and they, a little bit of a tangent, but like basically there's too many victim mentalities out there and not
yeah,
enough. I'm going to, if somebody's doing this better than me, that means they're doing something better than me. And I need to look internal on how I achieve more, not external to, oh, the algorithm's helping them more than me, the bad algorithm. It's like, no, the algorithm's fine. It's the same.
yeah,
I need to look at my content. I need to look at what I'm doing and then make it better. And that I think
yeah.
that will help a lot of people.
I think that's like the other part that I was like gonna start like eventually here as I move further along with like retard maxing is victim mentality. It's like the retard, if I were to like if I were doing a video right now, the retard takes accountability for everything. It's never this person or it's never oh the algorithm or I think I got shadow banned. It's like I understand those things exist, but it's like how about the first thought is this sucked and this is what I should do better next time, or this part wasn't good, I need to do this, or I said this and maybe that's why my shot didn't go in. You know, it's like you have to the victim mentality and the it can't be it can't no this it can't be me. That needs to stop. Your
Yeah.
first thing should always be what did I do wrong? What went wrong or what could I have done better? And if you adopt that and it's like sometimes it's not you, but it's like fuck it, make it about you because all the, what's the worst that happens on if you make it about you, maybe the algorithm or maybe you are shadow banned, but if you go straight to no, I went wrong, this sucked, I need to do this, well, all you're doing is further developing your skills. All you're doing is thinking about what are ways to make it better because you're never going to make the best piece of content. You're never going to perfect the exact outcome that you want. So you may as well blame yourself, take accountability so that next time it's like, well, maybe it was the algorithm, but you have your video is 2 times better than it was last time because you sat there and was like, no, it was a me problem. And now you've innovated because of that. So I think that's important.
Well, you can't, once you start pointing fingers, you're taking away the ability for you to control anything. It's,
Yeah.
like once you start saying it's that thing's fault, well, then you're not going to do anything. You're going to say you've then taken it out of your hands and you've thrown it off into the abyss and said, what I do is perfect. Like what I do is great. This other thing is so you're immediately not going to make changes. But if,
Yeah.
like you're saying, you point back at yourself and it's always, I can do better. I can adjust this. I could just, and you're constantly owning accountability. You have control over something that's you. Like
Yeah.
you can own that. People who push it off, they end up losing because they're not reflecting and making the changes that need to be made. They're constantly shuffling blame. And in doing that, they're not growing. They're not improving because they don't believe it's them. It's somebody else. It's that. And it's the same type of person. This is not maybe a personal opinion of mine, is there's nothing worse to me. And this is what you ran into in crypto and you run into in life in general. Like the more successful you get, the more money you make, everything, like the more you find out even personal network has a problem with you. Like there's always that statement of you find out like you have all these friends and family and they want you to win until you're winning as hard or harder than them. And then it's like, turns out I don't want you to win that hard. Like I wanted you to win when you're under me. I don't want you above. But what I hate is you see these people where when I see somebody really do well, or I see somebody absolutely hit a home run with them play or build a company and I know them, I'm like, man, that's so awesome. And it motivates me because I'm like, they can do it. Like, I got to keep going. It's awesome to see. But there's another group of people that looks at that and they're looking for the luck. Everything's luck at that point.
Yeah.
It's they got lucky. Oh, Jake's video. Oh, he got 1 million views because like they always have an excuse for everything. And then everything they do is hard work. Everything you do is luck. And I think that's just such a disgusting mindset, is these people that really, they don't want to get to you or they don't want to rise. They want to pull people down to where they're located. And it's just a kind of a gross mentality.
Yeah. I think, and sometimes like you can fall trap. I think like we talked about it earlier, like external motivation, and you have to rewire it where it's like, if I see someone doing well, I get pissed off. Like if they're my direct competition, I get pissed off, not because I want them to fail, but I wouldn't even say pissed off. I get fired up because I'm like, I want to be better than them though. Like I do want to be above them. I don't want to pull them down so that they can be at my level. And then maybe I put a step in now and back above.
Yeah.
I want them to continuously go up, but it just so happens that I'm going further, and it's okay to have that competitive mindset and want to do better than others. You want to beat the people around, like not around you, but you know what I mean? Like you want to beat the competition. You want to, but there's a big difference between that and it's all luck, making excuses. No. But look at this that they did wrong or whatever. It's like, nah, it's just, they put a shot up and it fucking worked. And now they pulled the numbers that you didn't. So you got to get back in the studio. You got to get back in the lab. You got to get back and figure out how you're going to put up a shot that was better than their last. And I think that's healthy. I think external motivation like that, I've done that for as long as I can remember. Motivation is always, or external motivation, like, competition has always existed. I look at my peers, even in crypto, people that are, creating content that are relatively around me. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, he had it, whatever. No, he put up a good shot. I need to go and do a better one now. And I think that's important.
Yeah, you got to have people you always have to have your eye out on people that you feel are doing stuff slightly better or in that ballpark. And that's exactly it. It's not about not wanting to go for it. Example of this was when I first came back from college and I was, getting back here. I had a couple of rugby teams that are in the area. The team that just won the national championship was in my area in Seattle. And then I went to practice to them to go play for that team. But it just happened to be that this all Islander team was practicing with them called the Ronins at the time. And I showed up and they did a dual training with both these teams. And I never really established which team I was there to play with. But by the end of training, I don't know if it's just a sick thing inside of me. I thought, you know what? I don't want to play for the national champions. I want to play for the dogs that I'm seeing on this other team that
Yeah.
want the national championship. I want to become the national champion with a team that isn't expected to win the national championship and that
So
is
much
this
cooler.
new. It was, and we ended up getting second. We didn't end up winning the national championship, but it was such a different experience. And although culturally it was even cooler because I got to experience a bunch of Fijian, Samoan, and Tongan lifestyles. All of them came over from the different countries. So I got ingrained in a really cool culture. It was also just like, it's just so much more fun to be the dog in the fight rather than to
100%.
be the pretty, oh, we're the athletic club sponsored. We show up in our shuttle bus. It's like, no, we show up in a bunch of cars. We have a barbecue and it's the whole families are there. It was a family and you were all there just gutting it out to try and win this thing. And I think it's that kind of thing. It's you want to have that healthy aspect of, I don't know, put yourself in a spot where you got to work, where you got to fight like a dog. And to me, that's when people are at their best. Like they have a goal in life and they just can get consumed by it. And like you said, the best people in life, and only some people have the trait. I'm not going to say everybody has it, but that obsessive trait, I thrive. I love that world where I can just every day, every second is consumed by this thing I want to achieve. In that case, it was trying to win nationals with all my buddies every day, all you think about, you eat right, you work out, like everything is about like, I am so tired and so exhausted, but my buddy's right next to me. And maybe this is because I'm a sports guy. I played college sports and after, but I just love that, like being in the worst state, being so dead exhausted, and then looking to the side, me like, but for these guys, I got another gear. Like in this moment, when somebody doesn't get up on the field, I'm getting up because I'm not going to let somebody else down. And sometimes there's just, I don't know, it almost gets me just fired up just thinking about it because, yeah, mine applies a lot to sports. I played competitively for a long time, and it just, but you can apply it to everything.
You
You're the
apply
same
that for
way.
anything, bro.
Yeah.
Everything's a football field. Everything's a stadium or a stage, right? And I think the same way. I love that, bro.
Yeah, there's just something special, and that's why I always, mine's a sports background, but it's applied to everything. I mean, I've had, whether it's building companies, whether it's starting a space, starting a stream, whatever, they all have there's all a fight. Like it's not fun to be in a space with 0 people in it and say, hey, I committed to doing this 3 days a week for ever. And I have to do a recording of a space with 0 people, but I have to pretend like there's people in here because I committed to this. That's just as not fun as anything else. But the difference between somebody who's willing to do that and somebody who says, well, no one showed up, so I'm canceling it. I'm done. Like I'm not going to sitting there for 2 hours in a space by myself makes me have to learn a lot more and be like, I have to be so prepared to have a 2-hour conversation with nobody.
Yeah.
And that if anybody listens to this recording, they get value and that they could say, oh, I should show up next time. That was actually super valuable. And knowing nobody might show up to that thing ever, but every time. So I think it goes back to what you've talked about a million times. You don't have to always, everything doesn't always have to be fun. Everything doesn't always have to be easy. The harder things, the newer things, they might end up being the most rewarding thing, but you have to try it. You have to give yourself a shot. You got to back yourself and be willing to try something and not like it. And then just try something else because you might love it or you learn it and you never really use it again. But like you said, it's not going to hurt you to learn how to juggle. It's not going to hurt you to do all these different things and have them in your tool belt. And you never know how it connects. I mean, I'm sure you've done this a million times. Networking's a thing. Like if you're in the world and all of a sudden you can juggle some night, having some fun drinking out
What I'm
with buddies
saying.
or something. It matters.
Yeah, you pull out those tricks, dude, and like, you know, next thing you know, everybody's like, oh, you know, Jake, you know how to jump, you know how to do all these like little things. Like, yeah, because I just fucking picked them up, tried it. You know, do you know how to ride a unicycle? I guarantee you, like 90% of people on planet Earth don't know how to ride a unicycle, but I do. And it's like you get your moments. They're good icebreakers. You get your time to flex. You become very interesting. You know, I'm not saying your goal in life should be, you know, to be as you know to be this interesting character for other people's pleasure, but it helps. The more interesting you are, the better rooms you get in, the more conversations you have, the more attractive you are. I think that's one thing that you said too earlier is like, you know, shoot your shot and stuff. I have such a bone to pick with all these like course sellers, these guys that like masculine, like you get they try to teach you how to pick up chicks, and it's like, God, dude, like that's so gay. Just go shoot your shot. You know, there's so many girls out there. There's so many, or other side, you know, guys out there that if you just be authentic and you just go and try it, and you just leave it all out on the field, eventually it'll work. You just got to put up the shots. That's it. Eventually it will work. You don't need the fucking course. You don't need to fucking put on makeup. You don't need to look smack. You don't need to do any of those things. You just need to be fucking retarded and go and talk to the person, go and shoot your shot. That's it.
Well, remember the pickup artist was big, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago now. What was the main thing he said? The initial step of his whole pickup artist game was go up and say hi to 10 different women. I mean, it was the base form of his strategy was you need to get comfortable saying hi and being in that moment. And that's really what the whole thing you're talking about is. It's about just going in, and it's a muscle. You have to get comfortable in the uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, that's what takes everything back to, oh, this isn't that big a deal. Like this isn't rocket science. This isn't some insane stressful task. It's saying hi to another person. And I'm creating the difficulty. I'm creating the stress, the anxiousness, the embarrassment. But if I flex this muscle, just like if I'm at the gym, just like if I'm making content, all of these things, if I'm doing it consistently, it gets easier and easier, and I get better and better and better. But if I don't do it, I'm not magically going to be good at it. I can't plan out this entire conversation with, let's say, again, to stay on the dating room. I can't plan an entire conversation. I could go up there, first second I freeze up. They say something that throws me off, and the person that's on their 50th rep has already rolled with the punch. Oh, and then they can just kind of bob and weave, and they're right back in it, because the planning. What is it? Everybody's plan's good until you get punched in the face. The old Mike Tyson quote.
That's exactly that. Yeah. That's great. I was literally about to say, yeah, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. Classic Mike Tyson.
Oh, it's so good. But I think at the end of the day, it's been awesome to hear your story. It's been awesome to hear everything that you have going on. You probably don't know, Jake and I had never spoke before this stream, so we came in live and just jumped right in. So this is my first conversation with him. So it's kind of nice, because it's that everybody gets to hear the initial.
It's retard maxing. You just do it. We don't have to do the preliminary thing where it's like, it's not about like, I don't want to. It's just like, I'm in me as a person. It's like, I'm a very open book. Like, and I'm very self-aware that I'm an attention whore. So anything that was like, you know, on the controversial side or whatever it may be, is like, when I go into these things, I'm just like, I don't care. We can talk about whatever. I'm down for it. If I don't like it, I'll say it, you know? So, and it was a great conversation, bro, to be honest. It was, even like I said, bro, you know, a lot of this time, a lot of these conversations, you know, they're cool, they're fulfilling, but like I genuinely have got ideas from like stuff I want to talk about in my videos just from talking about retard maxing. So I feel like I need to do this more often, because a lot of the time it's like I'll preach it, but if I have someone to not preach it, but if I have someone on the other side like yourself that doesn't reinforce it, but is like, yeah, and then, you know, if you think about it this way, and then now I'm like, oh, I didn't even Like that's a perfect analogy for a completely separate audience, you know, whether it's like a sports person or it's a someone that likes to collect cards. I don't know what happened. We back?
Yeah, I don't know why that keeps randomly kicking and putting it back on. Connection gets lost.
I couldn't tell if I was like offline or whatever. But yeah, you can apply it to anywhere is basically what I'm saying. And it helps reinforce the message a lot for me. So I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
anytime. I mean, feel free. I can send you my number. You can reach out anytime. I don't care. I'm a fellow West Coast person. So yeah, it's easy.
Oh
I
yeah.
think too often we get in these modes where, I mean, even sometimes people say, "Oh, yeah, oh, you're having Soul Jakey on. Oh, you're having this person on." It's like, "Well, how did you get that?" It's like, I just sent him a message. I just
Yeah, bro.
asked if they wanted to come on and have a conversation. And I tried to bring some kind of perspective or reason why I wanted to talk to them, not just, some blanket ask. And then I try and do some sort of research to understand, make sure the conversation makes sense. So I think people just overthink it. You can get on a call or you can get to know people in this space. I know a lot of people have huge accounts and things, but at the end of the day, people like talking to people, good people. If you're a good person and you can have a good conversation or you have good reason to speak with people, don't overthink it. Send them
That's
a
it.
message, comment, have some fun. Jake, it loves, he's a content creator. If you're engaging his content and asking really good questions and spreading the word, he's gonna show love back if you're in the comments engaging.
Yeah, bro. I'm probably I get it, like people have perception, you know, someone has a lot of followers or whatever, but I'm like very accessible. Like some people will say otherwise, like I don't answer texts or DMs, but it's like if you come to the if like and I'm not saying I'm Huncho at the table. What I am saying is like for you, it's like I like having conversations. I love being able to speak my mind on someone else's platform. Like selfishly, I like talking. I'm an attention I know that, you know, I could say something, doesn't matter the size of the podcast, big, lot, whatever. It's like I could say something that could be clipped even for my own video content. Like I think selfishly that way. So um, it's like, yeah, easily accessible because it just makes sense. And I think like everybody should, like, especially if you're a creator, any opportunity you have, big, small, whatever platform it is, to have a conversation like this, I think you should do it. It doesn't really matter what, like, you know, if you think
Yeah.
selfishly of, well, you know, I could work on my speaking skills. Maybe there's a question that I didn't know how to answer, but now I know how to answer it because it was asked on this podcast. So that when it's asked later in life, when I'm, you know, in Forbes or I'm on the Rolling Stones and I'm being asked these things, I talked about it back down on exit liquidity, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah.
And when you look at these different things, it is really amazing to see. A lot of people don't realize this is something that you definitely do, but a lot of people don't realize this. And I didn't even really think about this at first. It's the reality is it doesn't matter. We love everybody who comes live to the show, but the reality is there could be 100 people listening live. There could be 500 people listening live. You could have a massive stream or you could have 10, but like good clips from a stream that
Everything
can
matters.
go out, the people that can see the highlighted moments is so much larger traditionally than the audience that shows up to a stream. That yeah, it's all about, can I get a few good moments in
Yeah.
that thing? And then it doesn't matter if there's 10 people there or 500 people there. Thousands can see that clip, millions if it's right. So it's so amazing to see, and I appreciate you taking the time and, yeah, jumping into something where you didn't know what was going on. Stay into your brand. I don't know what this guy's gonna bring up. I don't even know who he is, but screw it. Let's jump on and see what happens.
We'll do a part two for sure. Like, you know, maybe later, you know, 6 months from now, we'll see where Retard Maxing's at. And there will probably be some good updates then. But no, I appreciate you having me on, man. It was a great conversation. You run a really cool show here. Shout out to the arena. I haven't been over there in a long time. I'm gonna be honest, been a little busy, but I was always a fan of the app, even though it wasn't like Solana focused. I've been a very like Solana heavy person, but that's one of
Yeah.
the few apps that I actually engaged with, made a profile on. So um, I know they sponsor, so shout out to the arena. And yeah, thank you for having me here, bro.
Yeah, we had Jason. Jason said to say hi to you. I know
Shout out to Jason.
he's been cooking. They had the algorithm pop out. They finally have an algorithm for the feed, and then copy trading went live last week. So now people
Right.
can copy trade good traders if you don't have any talent in that realm, or if you do have talent in that realm, people can copy trade you and you get part of all their profits. So yeah, it's definitely cooking up. And shout out to the arena, the sponsor, as well as Jason, always a Chad. Had him on the show on Friday. Great time every time.
Shout
But
out to
thank you.
Jason.
Yeah, thank you for coming out. We'll definitely do a part two. We'll all stay tuned. Again, his is at Soul Jakey. And then what about, do you have any other socials you want to shout out, or anything else you have going you want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean on Instagram I'm at Jake Hillhouse, which is the mime one, and then the retard max and stuff is just at I'm Jake H. So you guys can find me there.
All right, I'm Jake H, and then at Jake Hillhouse.
Yeah.
Just put it in the chat real quick. All right. Perfect. Yeah, that was amazing. So much great information around content creation today, around living life to the fullest. And I think we're going to have a really incredible follow up to this. I feel like I'm probably going to be going through your agent next time, because I just have a feeling it's going to blow up. It's going to blow up. Hit my agent up. He'll get you scheduled. So
I
I appreciate
appreciate it.
you coming on.
Thank you, man.
All right, Jake, I'll talk to you soon.
Talk soon, brother.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome to have him on. What a top quality person he is. That was real fun. And there's a lot of very informative stuff throughout that conversation. A lot of stuff he's gone on, the missions he's gone on, the content creation journey he has been on has been one for the ages. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. Everybody follow at Soul Jakey, follow along for his journey, listen to some of the stuff he's putting out. He's a lot of fun, and the message behind it is really strong. On top of that, I also put his other socials in the arena chat here. It's at I'm Jake H, and then at Jake Hillhouse. Both are his socials on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, and we'll wrap the show up real soon. I was just going to jump in just really quickly. I haven't caught anything since the show, or if there's any updates since the show started, but I was just going to cover a couple things, and then we'll wrap things up just around the market and where things are at. Let me double check just to see if, since the information could be a little out of date here or out of time here. Let me just see market. Oh, we're about the same spot. Yeah, 80,630. So, which is crazy on this. It says 88. So, yeah, it looks like we're still ranging here. Dipped to 80,300 last night for Bitcoin. It's still really fighting the fight when it comes to 80,200, 82,000, about 700 is the 200-day moving average. So, looking to fight that fight. We'll see what happens. We had a CPI print hot, like I mentioned early in the show. Hot CPI print wasn't ideal. We have a couple more catalysts coming. So, which is the Clarity Act markup on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Poly market odds for 2026 passage just jumped from 46 to 73%. White House targeting July 4th signing. So something around that could be really positive. Also, Powell's exits Friday the 15th. So it's his last day as the Fed chair. The successor announcement expected this week. So some of those things will be the other pieces. I do like that we showed some strength through all of these, through the CPI print being hot. Other macro overlay items. Trump said yesterday that the Iran ceasefire is on a massive life support. That's not good. That's another potential thing that could push the market down if they're not able to come to a deal. Iran rejected the dismantling of its nuclear facilities in response to the U.S.'s peace proposal. So we saw crude oil shoot up to about the 110 area with Hormuz still not being open. So there's a few things that are definitely still potentially danger zone things that could press us down. again. Are we going to have the sell in May walk away scenario? I'm not sure, but we will find out soon enough. Again, resistance is 82,228. That's the 200-day moving average. The three catalysts, CPI, Clarity Act, and Powell. I won't go super hard into the Clarity Act. There's a lot of different pieces that are going on here, but that's the big thing that's going to happen on Thursday. Well, let's break that down more on Friday. We've had a long stream already. But that is, we'll have an update on that on Friday. We're also going to have Ragsy on stream on Friday, one of the best degens in the space, made some insane calls throughout this time. MicroStrategy earnings, that was a big loss, 12.5 billion. Again, two 11-figure losses in a row. For the first time ever, Saylor said that he would be open to selling Bitcoin. He's since backtracked on that and shifted it to anything he sells, he'll actually buy more of. So we'll see what happens with that. But that was the first time we've heard anything like that. We just quickly see if there's anything worth. I'm trying to think if there's anything worth popping up. But yeah, I think we've had enough for today. We'll save anything else. There's nothing die hard. If I need to, I'll put an article out. I had a show plan also as well, like a backup plan, if we ended the interview early. But we've already been running for about 2 hours, so let's close up there. Again, we're keeping our eye out for some of the big ticket items. CPI was hot today. We're gonna have a couple other things coming up. The Clarity Act Thursday, if we get some good stuff there. But also, biggest thing obviously is going to be the ceasefire holding. But let's leave it at that. We'll keep updated. I'll put an article out if I look through everything and it seems like it's worth putting something out so people can read through that if they want to, more in depth. Appreciate everybody showing up. Again, Ragsy will be on Friday. She's been one of the best degens this last year, made multiple giant calls in her Discord group. So going to get a chance to see some of her methods, learn a little bit more about how she takes on the space, and really cool to see that. Probably perfect timing with as much degenning has been going on lately, with as many wild calls have happened. That is perfect. Crazy enough, I actually got crazy sick yesterday. I was worried I wasn't going to make the stream today. Slept for 20 hours and then woke up today. All I've had is a monster. Dangerous move after being sick to just smash a monster, but I'm back in the game. I got to eat my first meal. I probably should take it easy. We'll see if I do. I'll see all of you on Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time. I appreciate every one of you for coming out. Please go comment and reshare the stream on X so that we can get this around. It was an awesome guest today with Soul Jakey, and we'll see you all soon.